fumes, vapours or dusts, liquids and solids which can suddenly fill the space, fire and explosion, difficult access or egress, hot conditions. So if we haven't got the option of staying out of the confined space, best option, then what we've got to do is identify what are the hazards in the confined space and then see what we can do about those. If the hazard is a lack of oxygen, then can we put more oxygen into the area? Pipe air in there. Poisonous gases, fumes, vapours or dust, can we clean the area out? Purge it maybe. So we identify what are the hazards in there and see what are the control measures needed. Hierarchy of control. Hierarchy of control just means the preferred list of options, starting with the best option. Best option, eliminate the risk, stay out, don't enter. If that's not possible, then we control the risk, follow a safe system of work. And before work starts, put in place adequate emergency arrangements. Whenever people enter a confined space, you must have adequate emergency arrangements in place. Those emergency arrangements are not somebody picking up the phone to dial 999 for the emergency services. The emergency arrangements have to be in place by the organisation who is arranging the confined space work. Something to help you, to assist you, to get you out if you get into difficulties working in that confined space. Okay. Safe system of work checklist. Carry out a risk assessment. Well, everything starts with a risk assessment, doesn't it? Appoint a supervisor, somebody who knows what they're doing. Ensure persons are suitable for the work. If it's a small confined space, make sure they're not too big. They're not injured. They're not claustrophobic, whatever it may be. Isolate as necessary any mechanical or electrical hazards in there. Clean before entry. Check the size of the entrance so that people can get in and out safely with all their equipment on. Provide ventilation if necessary. Special tools and lighting, intrinsically safe equipment. In other words, equipment that doesn't create a spark in a flammable or explosive atmosphere. Provide emergency arrangements and appoint a standby person. Whenever people enter a confined space, an authorised standby person must always be in place. Okay, what's the standby person's main job? Raise the alarm. They're there purely and simply to initiate the emergency procedures if something goes wrong. If you get into difficulties and you indicate to them that there's a problem, they initiate the emergency procedure, they raise the alarm. If they spot something, they let you know and they initiate the emergency procedure. Would you expect them to try to rescue you? No. But again, remember, we're dealing with human nature. And sometimes it's very difficult to stand there and do nothing if you see somebody in difficulty. Especially if you think you can help. Lots of times, I mean, how many times do we hear on the news about people drowning, going into rivers and lakes and ponds and whatever else to try to rescue people? We used to get lots of type calls to this type of incident, but there was one famous incident in Northern Ireland where a guy was working in a well, and the well had been blocked in, partially blocked in, so it was only about 8 to 10 feet deep. And he had a standby man at the top of the well, but while he was working in the well, methane gas came up through the ground, and he got overcome by the methane gas. And the standby man saw this, and he leaned over to try to pull him out. And he leaned into the methane gas and he fell in. A bit later, a supervisor came along and saw